All right, we're speaking with former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson back in New Hampshire. He's the honorary chair of Our America Initiative. And Governor, welcome back to the Granite State.
Thanks, Grant.
What have you been doing this trip?
Just getting to talk to a lot of different people, and really, it's been very enjoyable. It's fun coming to New Hampshire to talk about politics. And today, of course, the House of Representatives is now in control of, Republicans are now in control of the House of Representatives, so it's kind of a big day.
Do you think that this Congress, at least the House side, can be trusted to live up to its campaign rhetoric of a smaller government and less spending?
I do, and if they don't, I think the Republican Party becomes irrelevant. The House does need the representatives do need to live up to their promises. Otherwise, this isn't. I just think that we need to balance the budget in this country tomorrow, and I don't see any party being able to accomplish this other than the Republicans. And the representatives in Congress are going to set the stage as to whether or not American electorate is going to give Republicans back that power.
You've recently said that the national debt you see as not only a threat to national security, but the number one threat to national security.
I believe that. I believe it's the number one threat to national security. I believe it's the number one threat to our way of life. I think that there is an impending financial collapse in this country, that if it occurs, it'll make the Depression look like a picnic, and it's avoidable, or at least the government, what it can do, it needs to do right now, and that would be balancing the budget.
How do you do that?
Well, let's start with the big four: Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and Defense. When it comes to Medicaid and Medicare, I think that the federal government ought to block grant the states the money to do that. Make it a finite amount, block grant the states. 50 laboratories now of innovation when it comes to delivering health care to the poor and those over 65 years old, and maybe 65 changes to 72. But that's what needs to happen when it comes to Medicaid and Medicare. And when it comes to Social Security is not nearly the problem that Medicare is. Medicare is going to engulf the federal budget unless it is reformed. Medicare is going to absolutely consume everything it is that we pay into federal government. But Social Security is very doable, and I think it's a combination of raising the retirement age. I think it's a combination of raising the amount of money that is subject to Social Security withholding. I think that a means testing needs to get involved also when it comes to Social Security. But I think that we can make it so that more money is being collected than is being paid out. We've got to get over the bubble right now of baby boomers with their eligibility for Social Security, the fact that less people are paying in, less money is being paid in than is being paid out. And then defense, very simply, we're spending more money than all the other countries in the world combined on defense, and we're 5% of the world's population. We can't continue to be the world policeman. I don't think that we can continue to nation build when we have our own nation to build. We're building roads, schools, bridges, highways, and hospitals throughout the world, and we're borrowing 43 cents out of every dollar to do that. We're bankrupt as a result of all the spending that's taking place. This is 2011. Other nations need to share in what is a global war on terror, not just the United States. I would get out of Afghanistan tomorrow. I think that the issues we will face getting out of Afghanistan tomorrow will be the same issues that we'll face 25 years from now, if that's when we decide to get out of Afghanistan. I would have been opposed to Iraq from the get-go, believing that we had the military surveillance capability to see Iraq roll out any weapons of mass destruction. If they'd have done that, I felt like we could have gone in with a surgical military strike and addressed that. I thought that we would have gotten involved in a civil war to which there would be no end, and I'm afraid that's what's happened. Afghanistan, I thought initially was completely warranted. That was a military strike against Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, but they're not there anymore, so let's get out.
What should the U.S. national security policy be in terms of foreign troops deployed? We still have bases all over the world: Korea, Japan, Germany.
You point out the big three areas where we do have troops deployed. Are 100,000 troops on the ground in Germany necessary, in Europe? I don't have the sense that they are. Troops on the ground, 30,000 troops on the ground, and please correct me if I'm wrong with that number, but 30,000 troops on the ground in Japan. When the current Prime Minister of Japan ran a campaign to get elected on the basis of getting the United States out of Japan, and in a friendly way. Japan saying we can take over our own defense. We don't need we don't need you, the United States, to do this any longer, and yet we're still there. And South Korea, the fact that we have troops on the ground in South Korea, how much are we adversely affecting a situation that might be handled in a much better way? I'm opposed to foreign aid because we're borrowing 43 cents out of every dollar to pay foreign aid, but I think one should not confuse foreign aid with military alliances, which I think are very key and are very key to our national defense moving forward. Certainly when it comes to military alliances, Israel is a key military ally and will remain so.
I was going to ask about Israel. What about a couple other traditional allies that face very daunting military threats absent a U.S. presence? Taiwan and, again, South Korea.
Well, I think Taiwan is absolutely a unique situation. I mean, it is part of China, and I think that ultimately we do not want to get involved in a world war over Taiwan. It is a military alliance. It is something that we should maintain, but this whole notion of getting smarter, of being smarter, as opposed to military might, boots on the ground, I think that that's not 2011. It can't be. We can't afford it.
Should it be U.S. policy to prevent Iran and North Korea from acquiring nuclear weapons?
Well, of course, North Korea has nuclear weapons, and when it comes to Iran, back to our military alliance with Israel, I don't think Israel is going to sit still for Iran developing nuclear weapons, pointing them and firing them at Israel. That's not going to happen.
And does that military alliance possibly lead to a military conflict?
Well, Israel may have the military conflict apart from the United States. Israel stands alone, I think, when it comes to their actions in the Middle East. And the fact that Israel has 300 nuclear warheads is kind of a guarded secret to a degree.
And how would you address the asymmetric threat of Islamic terror groups, other terror groups, Al-Qaeda and such? How do you think the military can play a role in deterring those threats?
Well, I think that we should deter those threats and that we should remain vigilant to those threats. But I would just point out that sending a cruise missile into Yemen to destroy an Al-Qaeda operative's home doesn't just destroy the home. It destroys a block, and it kills a lot of very innocent people that as a result of those killings, as a result of our policies, I think create 100 million enemies to the United States that might not have otherwise existed.
Before we go, Our America Initiative has been spending a lot of time in New Hampshire, in other states that are key in the presidential nominating process. That's not a coincidence, is it?
Well, Grant, over the last year I've been to 32 states. I probably addressed 300 groups. I'm on television or in print or on the radio every single day or multiple times a day. And again, I'm trying to put a voice to what I think is the national outrage over us being bankrupt and solutions that would go along with that. In a way, I've been kind of looking to get egged or tomatoed, sent back to my home in Taos, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'll keep talking as long as the reception is one that there's an appetite for, because this is a situation in this country right now, the bankruptcy of America, that has to be addressed.
And how can people find more about Our America Initiative?
Getting online, ouramericainitiative.com. I would love for those watching this to get online and tell me what they think.
Governor Gary Johnson, thank you very much.
Grant, thank you.